Okay, I'm continuing with my jewelry process, and I wanted to show you what the other part of it is, and that is getting ready and preparing the back and the surface for to make it look like metal. These are just pieces that I painted black. And what I'm going to do is go in and create surfaces that will either look like wood or metal or even something that like stone or organic, more organic and earth-like. And again, like I said, when I first started this, I wanted to create this jewelry as if it would look, as if it were ancient pieces. And here's an example of one of the ones that I did. This is just a piece of foam board, and when you paint on foam board, it has a really interesting effect. It cracks, and really a neat thing to work on. So you might try foam board at some point. It was really an accident that I really did and discovered because I was painting on foam board just to use foam board as a surface, and I discovered that because of the resist or whatever is that's on the foam board itself, it creates an interesting effect. And really, this is also something that I recycled from a collage that I did a couple years ago when I was doing the series on the Wise Woman. I also went through a period where I was using owls in my work, and just really wanted to incorporate that into this collage. But then when I looked at it sometime a couple of days ago, I thought, I think I'm going to just recycle the material and make that into a piece that I can use for a pendant. This is a large pendant, so it's really going to be cool, and the thing is, it's going to be special for people who love to wear large pieces of jewelry and also want to wear something that looks more natural. And so I have somebody in mind for this, and I also will show the process that I go through in the finishing of this when I get to that point. And this is interesting, even though it looks like a big shell, it is not. It's actually a cup that had a lot of iridescent paint in it, and I cut the cup and just melted it down, and it created this really interesting organic shape to it, which again, it looks more like a shell. And I'm going to use this again for a surface to do some embellishing and just add some things to it. It's not going to be a lot because I really like the look of it being almost like a big shell, and so I'll probably pretty much leave it the way it is. But again, this was a necklace that I was wearing for a while and decided to finish it a little bit more, and so again, I'm recycling one of my own necklaces that I created myself. And this is this is like a face that I did. Now this may be too big and too heavy for a pendant, but I'm going to finish this. It's actually almost done. I may put this on I may actually put this on a canvas. And this is created with polymer clay, and I painted the face, and I did the texture on the polymer clay, and I added all kinds of different things in the polymer clay when I baked it. I embedded some things in it, and you can see also there's like a thing that looks like a headpiece and also something that looks like her hair. That's actually computer wire. And I built this on I think it was a belt buckle that I found at an antique store or something. I'm not really sure what it was. But this is what I'm doing, and this is one of the women's series that I'm also doing. And as you can see, this is my studio where I do a lot of my messy work, and also I have a door back here that I can open so that if I do, do something that requires ventilation, I can open this door. which is a really good thing to do, you know, when you're working with melting plastic or doing a lot of things with, oh, just stuff that you need some ventilation. So when I'm using my heat gun, I use this door to, you know, to get some ventilation. And then you can also see a piece that I'm working on that I'm creating a surface on a styrofoam tray for surfaces and for another surface for earrings, or actually pendants, maybe earrings, I'm not sure. But you can see that what these are just, you know, trays. They're styrofoam trays, and they're thicker, a little bit thicker than styrofoam plates, so they make really, they make better pendants when you do pendants and you start making them into stone. I'm going to take you into the rest of my studio where you can see where I'm also working on another part of the jewelry making. And I am actually in here, and I'm working on several different pendants at the same time. This is one that I'm doing with a glass globe, little thing with it's a little, I don't know what they're called, but they're just little glass things that you get from a garden. And I actually, what I did with this is I took some paper and backed it with, on, you know, in the back. I just basically put the paper on the back. And then I covered it with gold, and I'm going to put this on this piece here and create this one. I like that look. And also this one here is created by using various things, again, recycled things. This is particularly for a woman who said the symbol for her basically her symbol was flying, and a bird. I guess it's basically flight. And wings? No, it was wings. Okay, anyway. So I'm using a bird feather. I'm not sure what kind of bird feather it is, but it reminds me of a blackbird or crow. And then a lapis, a little lapis, and a little gold spiral that came off of a jewelry piece. And then this face, I'm not really sure if you can see it, but this little face here is a face that I did. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's a little face that I did with some modeling clay that I stamped into a piece of jewelry to create, and I really like it. I think this is perfect for her. And then this thing that's in the back is interesting too, because this stuff here is made by, oh, it's something you put on the machine and you sew on, and then you put in water, and then the material disappears and leaves the fabric, and I really think this is cool. So this will be on her piece as well. And this piece here is made from a ring that I wore for a long time, but I'm going to recycle. And this is a piece of acrylic skin that was on my palette, and I took off, and I just peeled it off after it was dry. Then I put, it was like iridescent paint, so it was really cool anyway. And then while I was using the resin, I just really, you know, just embedded stuff into it. So there's got all kinds of things in it. There's some beads and some computer wire and all kinds of stuff that I just basically embedded into it. And then this is, again, a surface that I created by, I tried with, I wanted to make sure that this worked, so I just wanted to try to see it. So what I did is I covered the tray with glue and paint, and I mixed the paint and glue together, and then I covered it, and while it was wet, I placed tissue paper, and I put glitter on it, and I just kind of let it dry. And then after that, I put the resin over it, and it created a really interesting sheet on the tray. And then when it was dry, I could just literally peel it off. So again, it makes some really interesting material to use for collage material. And this is just while this little piece of plastic was on my table, while it was, I cut it out and I just basically just stamped some gold paint onto the plastic. Okay, turn that off. What I'm doing now is creating this to look more like metal, and I've layered the styrofoam together in several layers. You can kind of see what I did. This is actually done by taking a piece of styrofoam and just layering it and heating it at the same time. So it gives an interesting look to it. And now what I'm doing is I'm using various metal metallic paints to give it kind of a metallic surface. And because I've chosen that's the effect I want for this one. It's really interesting how you can create styrofoam to look like it's different things. And I like the look of metal, I like the look of stone, I like the look of wood, and so that's what I'm doing for this. This is kind of a stone piece, or kind of a metal piece. And so what I'm doing is I'm using paint that's just kind of different kinds of watercolor, and I have both metallic gold and metallic copper watercolor. And you'll find this watercolor really interesting because it's not like watercolor, it's very strong and very saturated, so you can really get some interesting effects from it, and the saturation is really much better than regular watercolor. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in just a second. I've even left the name on the back so people can see that it's really actually styrofoam, because it has the name that was on the tray, so I'm probably going to leave that, and because I really want people to see that it's made out of recycled materials. And you can see here I'm actually layering right on the tray. I'm doing different layers and using different things to create the layers. This is acrylic. This is the acrylic skin I told you about that I peel off my my palette and then use in my collage, as collage material. So what I'm doing now is I'm creating another surface for the pendant pieces. And I find this is a really neat way of creating different surfaces because it's spontaneous and you really don't plan it. You just, because I'll be using these as pieces, I'll be just using this as like different pieces of stuff that I use when I do my layering. So that's what I'm doing now. So I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to show you as I go what I'm actually, how I'm creating the layered look. I wanted to show you the actual material that I'm creating on this styrofoam tray. You can see that there's this texture right here. This is actually made from snake skin that I glued onto tissue paper, and actually my niece has a snake, and she gives me her snake skin, so that created this really interesting collage material that I was going to use for something that I decided to use it for this. Okay, and then you'll see there's pieces of this orange-like thing here and the yellow thing here. That's actually a piece of colored styrofoam that I melted right in the tray. So when you melt styrofoam, it will adhere to the surface that you have it on. So this is just pieces that I randomly collage right on the tray. And it really creates an interesting built-up stone-like surface. So that's what I'm doing, actually creating the stone. And this is interesting. This is a really interesting effect because I just took a piece of white styrofoam and melted it flat onto the tray, and it created this really interesting web-like look, which I thought was neat. So what I'm going to do now is probably either cut some pieces and start layering them together, or I might also take and put a little more color on it, because I kind of think it really needs a little more color. So I'm probably going to continue with the color and the surface, you know, creating the different nuances of color on the surface first before I cut the pieces out. I've actually done a collage the same way, where I just collage right, I put glue on the tray and just embedded different things on the tray to create a really interesting collage, three-dimensional collage. I've done that too. So I may do that as another class and show you that demonstration. Okay, and I'll be back in just a little bit to show you what else I'm doing with this piece of styrofoam. I wanted to say that I am so excited because I found my black bats. Now, you wonder, what in the world would I do with these black bats? Well, these black bats, when they're cut up into tiny little pieces, make the most interesting texture for my jewelry. And this is how I did some of my earrings. You glue them onto the styrofoam, and then you put paint over the bats, and then you rub out some of the paint, and then it reveals the texture underneath. And anyway, this is what I was looking for. I'm so excited because it pays to look through your stash. I'm really getting ready for an exchange, a creative exchange with a friend of mine, Patricia Ross. She and I are going to exchange collage material. It's always fun to get new stuff, and so I'm gathering up all kinds of things that she might want to use in her collage, her fiber art, her goddess cups, and all kinds of things. So she's going to get some really cool things. I'm going to go through all my stuff and get some really fun things for her to send to her for a creative package. This is something that, if you want to do, it's a fun way of not only sharing your own collage material and getting rid of some of your stuff, but getting new things to work on in your art. And it's just a fun thing to do, to do something like this with another artist, with someone that actually has stash as well. But by the way, I am going to be putting together some packages for people who do not have collage material, and I will be offering these packages for, just basically, I'll be putting together a package, and if you pay for shipping, I'll send it to you. If you would like to have some collage material where maybe you're just beginning. I know when I was just starting as a collage artist, I practically begged people for the stuff that they were throwing away, getting rid of, and now people come to the door and ask me to take stuff. So I have a whole basement full of stuff that I've got to go through, and would love to share it. So just, you can let me know. You can Facebook me on my on one of my groups, or just leave a Facebook message in the Joy Hellman, and I would be glad to send you some material. Anyway, I'll let you know as I go what she's receiving, and except maybe I won't do that because then Patricia will probably see it. Anyway, never mind. I'm just gonna keep going with my gathering up my stuff for her, and I've just started, so I'm really excited. Got some really cool stuff. Anyway, so I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, I want to explain a little bit about this particular technique that I'm doing to create a surface. I have worked with plastic before, and this one I decided to actually paint the whole entire piece of plastic with leftover paint that I had. I didn't want to throw away, and so I thought, well, I can actually use it for creating a surface. So what I did is I created the surface by covering the whole entire piece of plastic with the colors that I had left over. I started with the red because I had red, the red was there. But a lot of this is just real neutral colors. So I can come back now and I can put other colors over it if I want to do some layering. But what I did was an interesting thing. By taking out the paint, the technique was using a stamp, just these stamps here. And I used two stamps. I used a spiral stamp, which I really love. And these stamps are like without any kind of back on them, so they're easy to use. And I just covered the whole entire surface while the paint was wet. By stamping in the wet paint, it literally took the paint away. Instead of stamping on it, I actually stamped out, which is an interesting technique if you want to try it. What I'm planning to do with this surface is create a whole sheet of collage material, which I will then do earrings, probably more like earrings because the plastic is going to be flatter. And also I can duplicate the design if I have a complete surface that I have done. The other thing I wanted to show you is that there's some material that I'm using to enhance and alter the surface. I found this Martha Stewart, where is it? Martha Stewart, almost like a very, very fine glitter, and I've got various colors that I'm going to be using on my surface, especially because it's Christmassy. And then I have glitter, different kinds of glitter, and I'm using Pearl Ex. I'm probably going to use this when I start heating the plastic and forming it. I use this as a way to create an iridescent look. I am also going to use this plastic, which is plastic left over from just plastic, things that you get that's wrapped in plastic. I saved this plastic. And I am going to actually cut these out after they're painted. And I may actually do more transparent colors, which will make it look more like almost like a glass-like effect. And that's when I'll probably use the Pearl Ex. Now, Pearl Ex it's important in order for it to stick. You have to use gum arabic. You mix it up in a little, kind of like a little palette, and you can mix the colors into kind of a paint-like substance, and you paint on the surface. And because the powder works, but it doesn't stick unless it has something that adheres it. So I'm planning to use some of that as well. And then if you see that I have pieces of all kinds of pieces that I cut off when I was making my different surface of my earrings, I had pieces left over, and so this is going to be when I do my dimension on my pendants and earrings, and I will collage on them as well. And then if you come over here, you'll see that I have this is plastic that is like little plastic strips that when I was doing water bottles, I painted the water bottle and then cut them into strips. And I have made really cool jewelry using this these strips, so I'll probably use that. And I will also use aluminum that I took from pop cans I will emboss it, probably using my Zex machine, and make this into something that'll look like it's aged. And then I have all kinds of leftover pieces of jewelry and beads and feathers and all kinds of stuff that I also plan to use in my work. So that's just an example of what I'm doing, and I will be back to kind of show you the procedure and the progress that I make with my jewelry. And then I will also show you the resulting pieces. I am going to go in the back and set up something where you can actually see some of the things that I actually have made already. Or at least I have a pair of earrings that I'm going to show you. Okay, I want to show you the next step I did in this process of creating a surface. I took the stamps that I used for taking the paint out, and I put paint on the stamps, various different colors, and I stamped on the surface after it was dry. Okay, so you can see that again it has an iridescent look, and there's consistent design, which is, you know, it's the same kind of design, but I can use the surface for different things. So then after the stamping was dry, excuse me, I took the iridescent, the Pearl-Ex, and I rubbed the color into the dried paint, onto the relief. You know, like there's relief here, you can see there's relief. That actually, when I rubbed the Pearl-Ex over it, it brought the relief out more. So this is the next part of the process of creating the surface for my design and my jewelry. As I said, the reason why I'm doing a whole sheet is because each earring will be different, but will have a similar look to it. So each earring pair will have a similar look, but they'll all be different. So I'm going to show you the rest of what I'm doing tomorrow when I start working on more of this surface. My next part will be cutting the shapes out and using various templates to cut the shapes out, and different sizes. And then I will have the earring blank, basically, and then I will finish it with the earring fastening, the ear fastener, and also some beads. And I will show you the next part of that process when I finish. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll show you some of the things I'm doing for embellishment as well. So I'm going to be using different beads and wire and different things like that to do the finishing embellishment of the earring. Okay? I will probably use this as a pendant as well. I will have to make it thicker, so I'll probably glue several layers of the plastic together to create more of a harder surface. And I probably will also put some resin over the whole thing so that it will actually be a very hard pendant. I'm not sure about the earrings. I think I'll probably glue a couple layers together, but I probably will not put resin over it. Kind of depends on what, I decide later. Okay? So all this started off was with a big piece of plastic that was left over from a project. I'm not even sure where I got it from, but it was an interesting piece of plastic that I saved for using in a project at some point, and now you can see I have used it. So I will show you other things that I'm doing later on. Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, and see what you can do with a piece of plastic that you have around your house. Even a piece of acetate that's left over, or a plastic folder will work. I've even used cellophane, and I'll show you that later on, but that's a layering process of it's a totally different technique, but you can also use cellophane. Okay, so talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, this is a pair of earrings that I made out of styrofoam. And how I did this is I cut thick styrofoam. It was actually like a styrofoam tray. I bought those when I was doing a class with the kids in printing. And I have those left over, and usually they're covered with paint anyway. And so I used different kinds of things. This was actually interesting because I got a bag of little Halloween, I guess they were skeletons. And I cut, no, they were bats actually. And I cut the little pieces up because I knew that I was going to use them not as bats, but as some kind of a surface to create texture. And so that's what I did. And then I put blue iridescent paint over the whole thing after that was dry. And then I painted the back and painted the edges. And then I added a little earring. These are little earrings that I had left over. So I added an earring that already, they were already earrings. So, you know, it was like I don't wear these kind of earrings. So, you know, I buy different things from thrift stores and stuff like that. So I added those as well. And those are my earrings. And people have told me they look like glass. They can't tell. They don't really believe how light they are. And so these will be at Eve Avery sometime after Thanksgiving. I will also be doing a demonstration of how I do these earrings, and you'll be able to see me live outside of her boutique. Okay? And then this is a necklace that I made out of water bottle plastic. I think this was made from plastic that was eco plastic. It's made out of cornstarch, so it's really easy to form. And I love this because this plastic is really soft and it's easy to work with. And I have created this to make it look like it was very old, almost like an amulet. And I added a lapis in the center. I used different kinds of wire. I used, oh, I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff that's actually used. I used this collage material to embellish it. And I added, I actually wear it on a wire, but you can also wear this on a, if you want to wear this, you can actually wear this on a piece of leather. And that's probably the way I'll sell them, is actually I'll have leather cord that I use to finish this piece. And so you can see, let's see if I can do the light a little bit better. You can see that it's quite interesting, and I like the idea of it being more like nature. And so I'll have photos of it so it'll actually see it better. But this is the other pen that I made. And then the other thing I made was this little piece, which is a little wise woman. And I like her because she also is made to look very ancient. She is symbolic of the goddess of the forest. And she's made with eco-plastic also, the stuff that turns into cornstarch. And I added moss, and I actually had a little face that I did when I was doing shrink plastic. I had half of a face left in my collage stash, and I used that also because I just thought it just needed a woman's face on it. So this is actually another pendant that I use, and you can see also I recycle the wire. This is wire that's not like wire you buy for jewelry, but it's very, simple wire that I found around. I'm not sure what it was really. But it's wire, it's not gold wire. It's already aged, and I like that look. So that is what I did with this one. And then this one here is a pen that it's interesting how I did this one. Let's see if I can get it. Okay. I did this pen with a piece of acrylic. It was like an acrylic piece of paint, acrylic paint that I just, it hardened on my palette, and I scraped it off when it was dry. And then I collaged on top of it, and I used a rose petal that was actually a real rose petal. And I also used one of my paintings. You can actually see, and there'll be photos of this too. I put resin on the whole entire thing and added a little word that says women see or woman see. And this is also done with all recycled materials. And this also is something that I do with my work. You can see it a little bit better. Okay. I use various different kinds of paints, metallic paints and iridescent paints, and because I love the idea of it looking like it's very ancient, almost like ancient amulets that people wore a long time ago. So this is an example of some of my work, and some of my work that will be seen at Eve Avery's. And also I'm planning on showing them and selling them on Etsy after Thanksgiving. So, thank you. Bye-bye.